Welcome to Decisive podcast series by Roberta Ingram, co-hosted by Zoe Massa. We go live.
How you doing, everybody? Roberto Q. Ingram here. We have Myles, Sergé, and we have D-Knox with us. Welcome, guys, to the Decisive podcast series. How you doing over there?
I'm good. Before we start, I just want to clarify something real quick. So my full name is Myles
Sergé
Clark. So my middle name is Sergé. A lot of people get it confused as seeing it as Serge. It is not. It is Sergé. Quick backstory. My father went to college with a Russian guy, and my middle name derived from his name, which was Sergé. Unfortunately, my dad spelled it wrong. So it's that, and it should be like a Russian spelling like Sergey, but it's not. So it's that with the hyphen over the E. So future reference, y'all, it's Myles Sergé, and you can also call me like the Black Russian. So there you go.
Sergé, I'm glad you corrected me on that because I was getting through my monologue and it kind of just slipped out.
Yeah, it's good. It happens, man. It happens. So when I hear people say that, I know they mean me, but it's really, just for the record, it's Sergé.
Ah, cool. Glad you corrected me. I just want to get into basically a soft intro here, talking about basically what y'all been up to lately. I know there has been a lot of things happen. Last week, I guess you had a couple of gigs at Techno. Can you tell us a little bit about what happened there?
Techno was good. For those who don't know, Techno is the only free electronic music festival based out of Detroit. It's a 3-day festival, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and it's pretty much more local talent or regional talent, unlike movement. So this year was great. Who was there? A guy called Gerald was there with Mike Banks. That was probably the highlight, and I actually missed that. Billy Bob played. A couple other people was actually there. Blake Baxter was there.
Blake.
People in that caliber. More, you had your Detroit legends and a couple other people. So it was a good festival, man.
Tell me about the energy there. Did you like it?
The energy was good. It was good. No craziness. Again, I think everybody who was there, they wanted to be there. You know what I mean? And it was just a good overall, good energy. Great festival. Shouts out to Moses. God, I cannot think. I always get on this thing. I was too early. So
too early in the morning over there. I know.
Yeah, for me exactly.
DJ Roach.
Moses, DJ Roach. They put it on and they do it. They do a great job. I seen Roach out there actually working. You know what I mean? They both working. They're working at festival, so it's not like they got a crew of people. They got volunteers and different people to help, but they really put on a great job, and it was a great festival, man.
Shit, that's cool. How was your set? Did people get energized? Did they get into it?
I believe so. I got a lot of feedback afterwards, which was always great. Which, me, I'm kind of humble and I really don't like my sets, but yeah, a lot of people came up to me and actually told me they enjoyed it. So I played from 5:30 to 7. So it was a good time, man.
In the afternoon, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Good turnout.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it was people. It was people there. So yeah,
nice.
And they had 3 stages. So I mean, I had a decent amount of people at my stage, and
yeah, it must have been nice to catch up on everybody else's set as well. Huh?
I see. I didn't see too many people because we did the show earlier today, and then I went from left from the show. So I didn't stay that late either. So I missed Gerald and Mike set and stuff. It's crazy, man. When you work a full-time job and you do everything we do, it's kind of hard to like fit everything in. You know what I'm saying? So I do my best to show up places and stuff like that. So I stayed about a good hour, a couple hours, seeing some people, seen Plural.
Plural.
Yeah. I didn't catch up with Kevin because I was actually playing when I seen Kevin. Couple other people, man. I actually met your guy, Drivetrain. I never met him before, but I met him that day,
cool.
so it's pretty cool.
He's really cool. Derek Drivetrain.
Yeah.
Fantastic. We're gonna have him do some shows here with some of his releases, artists. We talked about it already. D-Knox, buddy, what's going on? Didn't you move to a new place? I thought you was comfortable where you was at. All your studio stuff was there and everything.
I was comfortable, but sometimes financially wise, it's better to, and not only financially wise, which is better, but just what you're around, your environment. For my case, if the environment changes, like say certain people start living around me, that maybe isn't the best for my energy, and I need to move. Because you start to become a part of your environment. It starts to affect your subconscious mind. So that was one of the reasons I knew that I felt it. Okay, it's time to move to a different part of town. If I am to stay on this mission and this goal to go higher. So that's the main reason I moved. And also financially wise, I save myself an extra $500 every month. So.
There it is, baby. Why not? Why not? Everything's getting so expensive, man.
Yeah, and then here's the weird thing.
Really?
Now the area I live in, which you would say more, it's in an area where people that have money. But the things in the shop are cheaper than where I was living before. And I thought for sure I'm going to go to the store, it's going to kill my pockets. No, I said, how is that? It's cheaper here where these people actually have money.
Mm-hmm.
With the stuff in the store is cheaper, man. But hey, I'm happy about that too. Even more I save. More money towards the music.
Cool. I mean, that I get that totally. I was just complaining last weekend when I was going shopping, getting food that was 2 or 3 years more from one day to the next. I know you got this new release coming out too. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, that's a project that Tim Xavier from Man Made Mastering, him and I have been working on over the span of a year. It should have been done sooner, but of course, life gets in the way. There's things that I need to do, he needed to do. But finally, after about a year, we finally finished it off 6 tracks, and the project's going to be digital and vinyl. So basically, it's just a combination of some experimental messing around in his studio and him messing around at home, and, on the computer, and then me messing around on the computer in Warsaw, and finally putting all these pieces of the puzzle together to come out with a great release. Actually, now when I checked the DJ feedback, it was great. Got a lot of feedback. A lot I did expect from the usual people that give me great feedback in the past, but there were some new movers and takers that I was surprised and said, that's good, that's great. That so people actually liked it.
Mm-hmm. How long did it take? So the experience was took quite a while, right? Or what?
This all took place over a year.
Okay, wow.
We started a year ago with I was just there, and I go to Berlin every couple of months anyway, just to maybe go to the record store or work on music or do something. Mm-hmm. Lately, before it was because of horror and some online DJ sets, but it's the last time. Yeah, I was there. I was doing a horror show, and I was staying with Tim. So it was a Saturday morning. We just started messing around, and hey man, why don't we go ahead and knock out the EP? We ended up doing a few tracks that day, but not completely finished, just parts to the track. And then, of course, once I get back to Warsaw, daily life things I can forget. I'm not going to play and say that I'm this music guy that's like always on it. I got things to do outside of the music business, and it takes a lot of time and attention too. But came together over time, and I'm real thankful
Tim had the foresight to go ahead and take it even further, because my thinking was, okay, we'll just release it digitally and see what happens. But he said, no, I want to do a full thing on this thing. I want to release it on vinyl. I want to do the great artwork like back in the days, so when people see this, it, tells a story. And he had this concept of having a photo of him and I, and his friend Antaeus did the artwork, and he did it well, with the eyes and the names. So Tim was really, I would have to say, he pushed it a lot further than I was going to do, because, for me, I'm just really happy to be making music, and then it comes out, and then I'm ready to move on to the next tracks. And that's cool. It's always been that way.
Great. Listen, let's move to your home origins, guys. Before Michigan, before Warsaw, where did you start, both of you? Let's start with Myles first.
Well, I was born in Flint, Michigan, where I am currently to this day. I believe we left here when I was probably 2 years old and moved to Grand Rapids, and I grew up in basically Grand Rapids, Michigan. Specifically Kentwood, Michigan, which is a suburb of Grand Rapids. So that's where I was at most of my life. Grew up there up until 2010, maybe. And then I actually moved out of the country and moved to Brighton, England. I met a young lady. I was dating for a couple of years, and then we decided to get married. So moved to England because of that. That didn't last, and I moved back. So probably 2014. I came back, and then I was in Grand Rapids up until maybe 3.5 years ago. I moved back to Flint. Moved back to Flint. I was living in Grand Rapids, and my current job is in Lansing, Michigan. So I was commuting back and forth every day. And then COVID kind of hit. Some things happened, and I had to relocate. And at the time, my grandmother, which the house I am now, she had a house here in Flint, Michigan. She had got sick and was living with my mom in Grand Rapids. So this house was basically empty for about 2.5 years before I got here. So most of my immediate family was in Grand Rapids. I do have cousins and stuff here in Flint. So when she got sick, my mom moved her to Grand Rapids. And then, so I needed a place to move. And at the time, housing prices in Grand Rapids were going through the roof. And wait lines to get in apartments and stuff like that was kind of happening. So my grandma suggested I move in the house. Somebody should be here to take care of it. And I did. So she told me I could do anything I wanted to do to it. So I basically changed it. Wow. A lot of not big renovations, but like painting. I took out carpet. There's wood floor underneath. I did some things like that. And then, so I lived here maybe like at the first year I was here. She passed away after that, but she was able to see what I did. So I was kind of proud of that. I was kind of scared to see, like this is her house,
I know what you mean.
Yeah, it's like, and I intentionally kept her bedroom like it was just in case that she did came back. Yeah, that's the last room I did. So she came and she seen it, you know what I mean? And and then not that long after that, she passed away. So ever since then, I've been here, and I'm here right now. For now, my plan is to actually, hopefully, one day move back to Grand Rapids. Hopefully soon. But for now, this is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So I'm happy here. I'm in my own world. I don't really do too much but work, and then the podcast and music when I can. So like Donnell was saying earlier, like, a lot of people you see in this industry, especially overseas, you think, oh yeah, being a DJ, it's all about DJing and traveling, and which is a good part of it. But I mean, that's the stuff that you see. You know what I mean? Most people, like in our position and whatever, we work, we got other jobs, and like, to be quite frank with you, like, music is not my life. You know what I mean? It's a part of my life, but the most part of my life is basically not music. You know what I'm saying? So Music don't pay
Yep.
my bills. It helps a little bit, but that's a small fraction of me, you know, my income. You know, I mean, my income is working a 9 to 6 job. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's what I do. I work hard. I've been working hard, and I've always worked. So I've never had the opportunity, except when I moved to England, that I had to rely on music for income. And even then, the only reason I had to rely on music is because legally I had to get a work visa to work, and that takes time. So you know, you gotta do what you need to do to make money. You know what I'm saying? Legal to make money.
I'm glad you stepped into that a little bit, because later on in the podcast, this is something that I think people don't really realize what it takes to do this kind of work and what you sacrifice to do so. And that comes a little bit later in the program, because we're going to talk about your labels. We're going to talk about your why you releasing, where you releasing, and what it takes and what it costs. So with that said, Donnell, also, let's talk a little bit about why you basically jumped and made a move to Warsaw. Well, Myles never relocated, but you both he has good ties overseas, and you had made that jump. And why would you do something like that?
I was simply gonna do it anyway. Because
Okay.
you know, as you were aware before, I had a lot of parties back in the days when I was still living in Kalamazoo, and often I was going to Europe. And to be honest with you, I was just getting tired at the airport, because Kalamazoo, is a smaller, rinky-dink airport, and always checking in and having the stress and drama of all that, checking in your luggage and getting on a little flight to Detroit. And it was getting to a point where at one point, it was like almost every week. And it's a weird thing because I was still in school, studying, and every other weekend I was going somewhere. And I just remember saying it to myself, at some point, man, you're going to have to just probably find some place over there. And then, of course, it also helped when my older cousin Jay, he decided to start living in Munich. So that was kind of pushing me more, like, yeah, you might as well just do like he's doing. I just wasn't, I didn't think I was going to end up in Poland. That just kind of happened more of just by chance, because I had an option to live in Berlin, in Munich, in Paris, in Tokyo, and in London, actually. And I just ended up choosing Warsaw, at the end of the day, because I realized that at that time, that economic wise, it was a much better decision, because I said they were, a lot cheaper here. Another thing I'm going to say too, as far as my eyes for the eye candy and what I'm seeing, I thought the Polish women were far more attractive than some of the other countries I was thinking of going to. So just even for me to just be looking every day, like, wow, look at that. That was better for me. Even living, man, I was paying at one point. I think I was paying something even like maybe less than $300 a month for a huge apartment for rent, and then like $12 for groceries that would last me 3 weeks. So it was a no-brainer at that time. So what I didn't move right away though. What I was thinking, let me find a place, and I stayed with my first girlfriend, her sister, and another friend of theirs was living there. And I said, I'll go back and forth. So I'll come and stay in Poland when I have parties. And sometimes I was having gigs for lasting over 2 or 3 months. So I would stay over here and then go back to Kalamazoo. And I did that for a number of years at first, just so I can get my footing and see how things work. And then one day I just made the move that, okay, it started turning out that I'll be here in Poland more than Kalamazoo. So I ended up vacationing more in Kalamazoo and then being out in Poland more because I had way more parties. And then I started having other offers to do other things like film work, some kind of English teaching, people just talking to them, having conversations and having money. And I, start making more money in those ways, but still having the gigs. And that's what really made me make the decision to stay here, because basically at the time, Poland, they were starting to become more Americanized. American was giving them more money, obviously, and a lot of things that I was doing in Kalamazoo, I was able to do here too. and it was a good group of Americans living over here, and not really in Warsaw. I didn't have to speak Polish really. I kept trying to learn it and speak it, of course, but most of the Polish people here that were my friends, they never really wanted to speak Polish to me. They only wanted to speak English, so there, and my Polish wouldn't go any further than what it was. But I take it upon myself to make sure I practice it still and work on it. But that was the reason, bro. Really, it was simply I had an idea to move to Europe. I just didn't know where, and Poland happened to be the spot. But after I'm happy with the decision that I didn't go to Berlin, like a lot of people I knew back in the day, because like I said, there was an option. But who knows what would have happened? And I think Poland becoming here saved me in a lot of ways. Because had I been living in Michigan, I might be eating the same horrible diet I was, around the same, I'm gonna say, kind of crazy people in Kalamazoo that was in the atmosphere. And Poland, Poland actually, I learned a lot about my people living over here and how America actually works.
Repeat that again. Say that again. You learned what?
I learned a lot about my people, African American people in America,
really?
actually living over here. Because I was
just saying,
and
from the outside
they know a lot of stuff about us over there. But just me for myself being here, even through YouTube and everything, I was able to discover and learn. Oh, okay, this is what happened to us. This is why we think the way we do, as a collective, and this is why things are done a certain way. And then I got to really see how America, the true America, like after living over here. So I would say Poland has given me a lot of gifts, especially for maturity and knowledge wise, and other things as well.
Right on. Right on.
Music wise too, because these guys are good at technical. For me, it's about the vibe, feeling, making the tracks, but these guys have great ears for like engineering and mastering. So for them, it's a different listening. So I learned the skill. I did learn how to like mix better music over here in Poland, I would say. Mix and master. So
Myles, you never fully relocated, right? But you built real ties overseas. I mean, we actually first met at Free Rotation.
Mm-hmm.
You also holding down a residency in Berlin. Since then, what kept you commuting instead of relocating?
Like I said, when I moved to England, I went there for marriage. So my plan was basically not to come back, but when things happen, so it was just one of those things, man. Like when I was over there, and when everything kind of fell through, it was kind of like I was on my own. You can do that for so much, but I mean, it was like it was kind of traumatic, but something like that happened, man. It was like, I need to be back around my friends. I need to be back around my family. So I could have stuck it out and try to do it, but I think for my well-being, and I had friends that were actually reaching out for me to come back. So I decided to come back. But ironically, like before I even met her, when I was doing when Brian Miller, Freak, he did the he had a label. He still does, I think. I'm not really sure. We don't speak, but had a label called 616, and he asked me to help out. So my real connections with Europe came from the 616 days. Brian, he's always like a forward thinker, and he's really good at music and just really good at design. He's a self-taught designer, graphic designer, and just designer in period. So what was going on was Brian was coming up with crazy art aesthetics and things that when he was doing his net label, that's when it started, was a net label. And that's the time when what was it? Not Beatport and other stuff was not even around at the time. So it was
MySpace was.
MySpace, that's what it was. So it was MySpace. And people were checking out the music, 616, this and this and that. So Brian made it seem like we were some huge label. It was me and him. him first, and then he brought me on. So it was me and him doing this, and we had the presence. Like, you would have thought we were like a defective or something like that amount. Brian had music coming out. We were doing music like every couple of months, but it was huge, and the design was perfect. So people was hitting us up like, yeah, you accept demos, this and that. I'm like, bro, it's just me and you. Like, for real. I was living in Grand Rapids and Brian was living in Holland. And that's how it came on, man. Like, we were just doing the net label thing for a while. We did some projects. Brian and I came up like, yo, we need to like, get everybody together that we know will follow us to do music. Just ask them if they want to do a compilation or something. And that's what happened. We were doing projects with different people, and eventually that's how I came to know Stevie-O and Free Rotation. They were following us on MySpace and like the things we do. So we had conversations with them, and quite a number of people that was just following us. You know what I'm saying? So one day he invited us to Free Rotation and was like, hey, you know, I do this festival in Wales once a year. It's called Free Rotation. This is the concept. You guys are more welcome to come, but you have to get over here yourself. That's because you guys don't, you know, you don't live in Europe. So if you can get here, we got a place for you. So we talked about it, and the first year it didn't happen. And the second year, maybe it didn't happen then. I was like, man, they keep inviting us. We need to go. And at the time, I was able to go. And the only reason I was able to go was basically from my girl, Melissa, which is a sponsor or my good friend. I've been knowing Melissa for like over 30 years now. But at the time, we had kind of lost contact, and we reconnected. And at the time, I was telling her about this music stuff to me and Brian. She knows Brian too, that we were doing, and this is what we're doing, and we got invited to Free Rotation, but we're trying to figure out how we're going to go, this and that. And Mo was like, we're going. I'm like, well, I ain't got no money for that. What do you mean we're going? And at the time, I didn't know that Melissa was working for United Airlines. So
really,
we went because she had buddy passes and she can get passes to go. So I saved up money to go. As far as like, you know, accommodations and food and stuff like that, and we went, and that was it. And I met Stevie-O in real life, and it was cool. We had a good time, and then I got invited to come back again. And
they got out to Stevie-O, yeah.
And it just went from there. And then when I moved to England, I became a resident because I was living in Brighton. So it was like, all right, cool. So Free Rotation, I think the second time I was there is when I met you.
Right.
So it just went from there, man. A lot of my contacts, we were still doing music. Free Rotation, when you're there, it's not just people from England, it's people from all through Europe. That was one of my big connections with meeting people. And you know, it's a special place, it's a special festival, it's intimate. So it's not like you're at this huge event and you don't know anybody. So, and the artists actually have to interact with the people, you know what I mean? So it was kind of like easy to meet people. I met people from America that I didn't even know. That's how I met Hakeem. I met Hakeem at Free Rotation, you know what I mean? I see he was there. I've seen the name I didn't know. So before we actually left that year, I reached out and said, hey, you from Chicago? And he's like, yeah, I'm in Grand Rapids, man, like around the lake. So it was kind of like cool. And that year I met him and I met Sean. I believe that year, yeah. I met him and Sean. I think it was Sean. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not sure. But I met Hakeem, Sean, and it might have been Stephen Tang. I'm not really sure. But anyway, that's how I kept, man. And just being in Europe, when I did have my time living in England, the first time I played Trésor, you know, I mean, was that when I was there. So my time
that must have been exciting getting that, huh?
Yeah, it was cool. It wasn't my first, you know, it was like my second time in Berlin because my first gig, I played a ghost party at About Blank, and that came about because I think her name was Diana, not the Trésor Diana, but it's another Diana who was running the ghost parties at About Blank. How that happened was because she was at Free Rotation. and I had played a record of mine that just came out, and she was like, "What's that record? I like it." And I was like, "Here." I just gave it to her, and that came from that, and I got a booking from that, and that's how I went there. I played for her in Berlin the first time ever, and she was like, "Yeah, you'll be back. This is your first stop, but the next time you'll be back because you're a new face and people want to see who you are." And that's what happened. That particular time when I played there, my first time in Berlin, is actually the first time I met Samuli Kempi. We played together. He did a live performance. So everything, as you see, it's all about connections and the way things line up. You know what I mean? And that's what it is. And, and from there, it just kind of snowballed.
And you're likable. Yeah, you're a likable guy. I mean, plus you Jack, man. You have a great talent, and I really appreciate what you're doing. I mean,
Yeah.
so I can understand. I can understand how that getting back over there was just inevitable or organically positive for you.
And I think the key, and I cut you off, but I think that's what it is, man. You meet a lot of people like me and D. I've known Donnell since, God, 94, 95. He's a little bit older than me, but I had got out of high school, you know what I mean? I met him through my friend Kiko. But me and D still, we lost touch for a little bit because he moved away and stuff like that. But, the people that are supposed to be around you will always be around you. And I think a lot of people got to understand that this whole, and like I've always say, like people I work with, people I make music with and stuff, they're my friends, man. And it's not just like this music thing. This is like real life relationships. And I think the people that I'm cool with, that's who I want to work with. Yeah, music stuff is cool, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's just music stuff, but if we're friends and we're cool and I can talk to you about life and this and that, and you just happen to make music, that's cool. But music ain't the focus, you know what I'm saying? And I think those were the lasting true relationships come in this whole thing. You know what I mean? Life is relationships. You know what I mean? Whether you choose to keep them or not, that's one thing, or keep them up with, and it's also a two-way street. You can't always take from somebody or vice versa. You both have to put in and give to make it a lasting relationship. And I think that's the problem, that most people don't look at this whole scene and all the problems with that. It's based on what you can get from somebody. And I think that's the wrong way of looking at things. It's what we can share and what can we nurture together to help each other and support each other. And I think once people do that, the whole industry would be a better thing to do.
I think I had that experience. I mean, that catalyst that we love the most, the foundation, is the music. For me, I love the music, and the music has always been the kind of let's say safe space for all this stuff to happen. And I don't know if I heard you wrong that the music is just the music, but I mean, that's very important. That's a very important foundation, because something that we all share. Music is a universal language, right? So yeah. With that said, I wanted to move on to something that you both can relate to, which is it different playing in Europe versus playing at home? And what would that be?
For me, yeah, it's different.
Go ahead, D.
I just say it's different because, culturally, Americans are different than in other countries. So, if I'm playing in the States, I even notice people are dancing differently or reacting differently. And I might go to some other country and nobody might not be dancing, but for that town, for that area, it might just be that's what they do. They just sit there and watch you. Or they go and they, chill somewhere else. I know there's a city in Poland called Krakow. And every time I play down there, it's the first time I played, I was really disappointed because it seemed like at first it was crowded, packed. And then 15 minutes later, it was empty. And then 20 minutes after that, the crowd came back to the floor. And then again, 10 minutes later, it was empty. But then the promoter told me, no, this is what they do here. They'll come in and watch a set, then they go upstairs, they go to another club, they come back, and and they kind of club hop. So sometimes he said you probably didn't even see the same audience at the party because they're changing. Like people from this club was coming over there and digging about 10 or 15 minutes of your set, and they leave and someone else comes. And I was like, I've never seen that in Kalamazoo or in the States. Usually it's you play and by 2 o'clock you're kind of finishing because unless there's like a dirty after hour or some illegal rave somewhere, the parties aren't lasting till 5 or 6 in the morning. Things are finishing by 2. But here in Europe, you know how it is. 2 o'clock is when it's starting. So that's what I see different. It's just culture, how they do stuff. But as far as the music and the love for the music, I have to say Europe, they probably hands down, they're more into it. In the States, I kind of feel like some people could have just came because a friend told them to come. And even though techno and house was made in America, I don't feel like they really follow it like that. And then when I played in Japan, for example, they didn't have any drugs or anything. They were just there simply to dance and, for the music. So those are some of the differences I see from the States.
What about for you, Myles? Yeah.
You got to think that depending on your stance on this thing, like techno.
I guess your experience, basically.
Well, yeah, it's different. It's different. From my personal experience, is like people in Europe, they understand. They understand it, but again, it goes back to what Dee said. It's a cultural thing. Like when it's more accepted, you hear it more. You know what I mean? Here it's just kind of fairly new. You know what I mean? You don't hear it on the radio. You don't. Europe, you hear stuff on the radio and stuff like that. It's not inbred in the society. There's not like a big party or club culture. Okay. You know what I mean? If I can say that right. But when I play, like, this past year I played Tresor, people there because they know what's going on. They know the music. So you can pretty much get away and do whatever you want. It's about the music. They know what's up. You come here, some things I might play in Europe I can't really play here. I do anyway, but it's different. People just don't know what to expect or how to comprehend what you're doing. Sometimes you get a little frustrated because it's kind of like, wow, you know what I mean? You don't know how things are going to go over, so, but it's a huge difference. It's a huge difference, but it's cool because I will say, at least now it seems like at least the younger people are trying to like get to that level, and it's changing a bit. You know what I mean? Stuff is more commercialized over here too. You know what I mean? So, and that's the conception where you got like Europe's more underground. Here is more mainstream, and mainstream would be like your what's to do with the rabbit head and that type of culture. You know what I mean? It's EDM. There's a big difference between EDM and house and techno. And over here, people don't get it. Oh, that's EDM. No, it's not. It's not the same. But it's slowly, I think EDM is like, if you want to explore the music, EDM is your first introduction. It's like riding a bike with training wheels. You know what I mean? And then you graduate to something different. So, yeah.
Let's talk about what each path costs. It's a major commitment what you guys are doing, right? Donnell, what did you have to sacrifice to make that move? Yeah. What did you have to sacrifice to make that move?
The move on what? Like, you mean moving? You mean home. Changing continents? Like moving to? You mean moving to Europe? Period. Right?
Yeah. Was it? Well, I mean, it's a big sacrifice running your label and everything. I mean, I have a few more questions leading on to that. I just wanted to get a basic introduction to that.
Family, man.
What you have?
Family.
Mm-hmm.
Your family is there, and then you're going, to another country where none of your family is there. I mean, the closest I had was Jay in Munich, and that Munich is how far that is from Warsaw. Yeah. So I would say that's the biggest sacrifice, and also comfort. is, back in Kalamazoo. Come on, that's my nest. I'm comfortable. I know. Here, it's not comfortable. Not at first. I got to learn everything from scratch. So those two things, really, family and comfort, had to be sacrificed, and some money, of course, because this stuff takes money.
Yep.
You gotta, no matter what, you better have some savings somewhere, because you don't know. You could get sick or anything, or you need to fly home quick, or something, or you don't have those gigs. Because if the promoter cancels and you were counting on that money, you're done.
This whole show is about the spotlight and what it costs to sacrifice to actually be independent and do what you guys are doing in this underground scene. Thank you for that one. Myles, what did you have to sacrifice by staying and commuting instead of relocating?
It's basically the same when you move anywhere. Like even here, moving from Grand Rapids to Flint, it's the same thing. Friends, family. I do have family here, not too many, but it's just friends and family. And the biggest thing that D touched on was like comfort. Like right now, like I couldn't tell you anything about. I didn't grow up in Flint. You know what I mean? So I know what I know from. I used to come here when I was a kid. You know what I mean? For the summers to stay with my grandma, but other than that, I couldn't tell you nothing about Flint. I don't know. I know that's within my little 5-mile radius. Maybe I know where I need to go shop. I know I need to things I can go eat and stuff like that. But other than that, it's a comfort thing, really. And even that with my family's like 2 hours away from here. So now you take that and times that and put an ocean in the middle and a couple of time zones. It's a huge trade, you know what I mean? And depending on what you're trading, what are you trading for? You know what I mean? So sometimes is it worth it? Or if it's not, you know what I mean? So you give up a lot. You really do. Money's a big thing too. To move anywhere costs money, but now again, times that by 20. And stuff. That's a lot of money to move overseas, man. And to be honest, like I wish more people, if you do move overseas, especially the whole Berlin thing, people moving to Berlin and different places like that. It sounds good, you know what I mean? But you got to have all your stuff lined up. If you don't have a great source of income, this music stuff can end tomorrow. Your gigs could dry up tomorrow. You could do something, post something wrong on social media, and somebody don't like it. It's done. It's a wrap. So, you're at the mercy of people, you know what I'm saying? So, and if, and if you don't speak the language and you don't know how the cultures are, where you're moving to, it's a lot to take in, and it can be quite overwhelming, and it can take you over really quick. So I think most people that do move and do these huge changes, you have to be able to be on your feet and adapt quickly. If you're not, then I wouldn't move. Just stay home. Go visit. Go when you
really?
Go book.
I thought you was extreme.
I wouldn't mind coming back, man. Don't get me wrong, but for me to come back, probably not. Not for a long-term thing unless I got, something crazy, a crazy offer that making mad money or something like that. This benefits of living over there, but at the same time, man, I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. Okay. All right. I mean, I remember with us having really long discussions about you finding interest in moving. But of course, foundation got to be right.
Yeah, if it's not right, man, like if I hit the lottery tomorrow, I'm out. You know what I mean? But
would it be for love?
I'm out. I'm out. Not saying that you can bring love with you. You know what I mean? But
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hey, let's talk about the labels. Myles, you run MS Live. MS and Culture City Corp, Culture City Development Corp.
Mm-hmm.
Donnell, you running Sonic Mind. Both of you know the insides, both insides and out of this. What does it take to run a label? Actually, what is that? What did it actually look like to run a label in 2026? after all you know up until now, what does it take for you to continue to run your label, shall I say?
For me, it's just I don't want to kill it because I figured that I birthed Sonic Mind. So to stop now, it's just gonna die. And I don't want to die and see the spirit man somewhere in the other world saying, "Why did you stop?" You know. And also, I don't stop it because there's people. I get a lot of emails from people. I never brag about the stuff or say it, but there's a lot of people that write me and say they appreciate it. That I started the label. They've been a fan forever, and I've actually changed. There's probably about 15 to 20 people's lives I changed just because they started listening to Masonic Mind. They decided not to be gangsters or do other things that they were going to do simply because of the music. So that's what keeps it going. But what it takes in 2026 is, it's me, my mindset of, no, this Sonic Mind must live on. The music has to go. No matter if it's 2026, 2027, it's just not going to stop. I don't care if I'm making any money from it. I don't care if people even like the releases at all. I'm just like Rick Rubin says, I'm just making the music and putting it out from the heart and what I feel, what I like. I can't sit back and think, well, maybe they're going to like this or that. No, I have my own label, so I don't have a need to release it somewhere else on another label. I can, because some labels ask, but for myself, I can do whatever I want then. And without fear of, okay, is it going to sell or not, or they're going to like it, or maybe people maybe want to have some gigs from it. It's not about that. For me, it's just the fun. Sit down, make some tracks, release it, let people have it, see what they're going to do with it.
I have a question to you about that. When you say that, okay, for me from the jump, yes, it's quite clear that you're making the music that you like and you're making it for you. But when you have fans that have also appreciate it and you say you don't care if they don't like it, can you kind of clarify that?
Because I think like Prince. I'm not here to, okay, I may have fans, and that's why they're fans, because they're buying into what I'm making. I don't consult with them first, and should I make the track this way or that? No, this is me at the moment making it, and they're buying what I've just happened to produce. So this is why I don't care if they're okay, because a fan, they're not gonna like everything. For example, I'm a huge fan of Prince, but I don't like everything he did. But Purple Rain, that's the thing for me. But I'm still a fan of his. Prince does not care if I like his music or not. Prince is just gonna be him and make his music, and that's just how I see it. D-Knox is just gonna be D-Knox and make stuff. Either you can buy it or you don't. It's up to you. Either you can stay a fan or you can go. But my main thing is I'm happy when I sit down behind this iPad, computer equipment, whatever, and I make something that moment of, oh, that's just so sweet sounding, man. That's, yeah, I got to finish this. And, that's the moment I'm always chasing in this.
That's kind of cool.
So at that point, I'm not even thinking about the fan.
Okay.
I'm just thinking, let's finish the song. And then I put it out and let's see what happens.
Okay. I mean, because I understand you both, we've had discussions about this. I guess I was hearing a lot of very talented and very amazing musicians that's also released and sold millions, and they also feel like there's experiences in your life when you're making tracks that has something that everyone shares the pains and the sorrows and the joyful and the moments in life, and they're creating music from experience that people can run to that song and say, yeah, somebody else experienced something with me and I've gone through this too, and whenever I listen to this song, it gives me joy or gives me something. So that's why I was listening to what you were saying, and I was kind of relating to what that meant to somebody else. And when you say what you say, of course it's coming from your soul, it's coming from your heart. But I also think that it's also a wonderful thing when people share, they feel this this message through your music that also resonates with them. So that's why I kind of like felt kind of a little bit of like hey, fuck you, I don't give a shit what you care. If you
No,
think
it's totally not that, man. The point is, as an artist, this is what people are buying into you. You're not supposed to sit there and think, is this song gonna make Lisa dance or do that? Some people do. But I think if you're being true to yourself and to the music you're making, this is all you at that moment, at the time. And as I said before, you know, I don't care that Prince doesn't care if I like what he's making or not. Prince is just being Prince, and I'm buying into it. And there might be some songs that, yeah, yeah, I feel that, like I experienced that or I didn't, but I'm not looking for that. Mainly, I hear a good song. It doesn't matter if it's rock, jazz, hip hop, techno, whatever. If I feel that song, I feel it. And I'm not taking it as okay, the artist is saying "fuck me," or excuse me, "f me," because he doesn't care if I like what he makes or not. It's never that. It's never that. Okay, forget them. No, it's hey, I'm just going to make what I make and be me because that's the true way, which I feel is it's me coming out, and I'm not trying to conform in some room and fit in. No, this is just D-Knox. This is just what you get. Not it you, but take it or leave it. As that. So that's to clarify that. So in case somebody's listening, no, it's not diss the fan and forget them and all that. No, no, no.
Okay, because
Totally
nowadays we're living in a world where artists have to be salesmen of their music. You have to, to generate fans that love your music. It's important that you also are authentic and unapologetic artist. Yes, of course, right? I'm hoping that you guys sell a lot of records to your releases because people are also feeling it on the dance floor for whatever reason, whatever it's, what I'm saying? So yes, I know you and I know him and I know you how you guys produce and unlike what you feel about that. But it's good to hear you say that in a way so that people also don't feel like, hey, look, why should I listen to this guy's music? He could care less if I spend money on his label or
Well,
support him.
the thing is,
But
people are going to do that anyway.
let's let Myles Myles.
But real quick, Roberto, before you even
Okay, sorry.
before we get to that,
Okay, all right. That
people are going to do that anyway. You can be
Okay.
the nicest guy. You can wrap it in the prettiest package, and you'll still have somebody that just don't get it. Oh, he was too nice. That.
Yeah.
So as I'm saying, to be authentic, just be you, be yourself. And as Miles said earlier, the people that's supposed to be around you will be around you. So your fans, the fans that are supposed to be your fans, will be your fans, and they will get you. But the second you start trying to conform and change, it's not you. So you're not actually giving your authentic artistry
Okay.
at that point. So
Okay, got it. Okay, Myles, what's your point?
See, I think well, we kind of drifted from your original question a little bit, but
Right, exactly.
I think what people need to understand, what D's getting at is like, people, your fans, they want to hear, I think, where you coming from. You know what I'm saying? So like case in point, and I got this for a reason. People need to understand like this. This is my latest record. If y'all can see this or not. What this basically is a physical reputation of a snapshot of a moment of me. You know what I mean? And this moment, this is what I was feeling. This is what I was thinking. Now, the thoughts may not come out verbally, like I can tell you, but this is my thoughts coming out musically. This is a snapshot of a moment in time of my life. And this is how I express that moment in time in this way. And that's what I think people want to hear from you. Is what was Donnell going through? What was Myles going through at that moment? Thinking at that moment. This is a representation of that moment. And I like Prince too.
That's cool, man. I like that way you said
But
that.
I don't like everything that Prince did.
Of course.
Albums that Prince even put away and didn't put out.
Of course.
Reasons, but he has a huge catalog. What was Prince going through during these times? We don't know.
Yeah.
But this is his way of expression. And that's great. Everybody's not the same person every day of the year for the rest of your life. The same attitude. You know what I'm saying? Everything changes. And I think that's what it is. So, and Donnell's not when I get exactly what he's talking about.
No, I get him. I get him. I think there was two sides to that, to what he was saying, and I was trying to get that sentimental part from him, because I know him. He's like a brick wall sometimes. So
right.
Yeah, I understand him. I get him.
But
I get it.
I think your original question, what does it take for a label or to do a label? Or
right.
something to that effect.
Right. Running a label actually look like from a day-to-day point of view.
From a day-to-day point, it's hard, especially if you're not rich, you don't have a lot of income, you don't have a lot of money backing you. Or to be quite honest, if you don't have a team, most of these people, labels, whatever, for the most part, there's usually a team or somebody that's backing them or helping them in some sort of way. When you're like us, and I think Donnell will be in agreement. It's just us. So we both got 9-to-5 jobs. We do other things that, it comes down to money. It comes down to the most part is time.
Yeah. Thank you for your honesty.
Time is hard, bro. It's hard to squeeze all this thing in, and people think, oh yeah, well, it's easy. It's not easy. It's probably one of the hardest things to do on top of everything, and to fit that into a daily life and schedule, it's very hard. So every second I try to balance it, even if it's like 20 minutes, me trying to do something, it's hard. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm going to say. How do you, that was going to be my question. How do you balance staying true to what you believe creatively as opposed to what actually needs to be done to sell records?
It's a tightrope. Creatively, I'm speaking for myself personally, my creativity comes in spurts. So if I have time, or I might be in something like really quick, like in a mode, I'm going. I go, you know what I mean? And I usually bang out stuff right then and there. Or within a good time period, and that's it. And after that, the creativity's gone, or quite simply, I just don't have time. So if I'm doing something right there, it has to be right then and there, and I try to get it finished. And as far as like the label thing, if you look at the label as a job, like I know I have to do this now. I need to do that, and I try to fit it in with everything else. If I look at it like a schedule, like, okay, I go to work every day, damn near every day. I got to be there at 2:30. I get out at 10:30. When I'm there, I got 4 jobs I got to do for 2 hours each, and I rotate. That's what it is. So for me, if you look at the music behind the scenes part, okay, cool. So typical thing, like if I have the release coming. So, and usually like the MS, for people know, MS is strictly, it's me. It's my creative outlet for my own personal stuff. Culture City, early Culture City is a couple of releases for me, but it could be me, or it's with people that I work with in the industry, or friends, or something I like. It's usually other artists. So Culture City right now is probably more active than MS because of that. And I know for a fact that I have to get things moving. So for me, that's finding an artist, getting tracks from my artists, picking tracks, talking to them. I keep them in the loop. The next thing I do, I have to go get the stuff mastered, whatever it might be, artwork and this and that. These are all things that have to be done, and it has to be almost like on a schedule. So, and all this costs money. You know what I mean? I'm not a graphic designer. I don't know how to master my own tracks. So I work with great people. Shout out to Anthony at 313 Mastering, Chicago Skyway Sean. Right now, he does the label artwork. And I have my other my partners for promotion. I use Mainline in England. Shouts out to Ian. And then right now, my distribution for physical distribution is matter of fact, Andre and the crew.
Yeah.
And digital is EPM. So all these things that I have to do, it's not that they're going to do it. I have to make the time to put stuff forward. So, and that's what it is. Every release is this. It goes in that order. It has to be done. It's a time frame that has to be done. Some things out of my control as far as like release dates and that, as far as the final. But that's what it is, you know what I mean? And you have to do this. And unfortunately, it's money. So, you know, if you have a team, you can spread it out as far as promotion and stuff, and it helps. But hey, if it's just you, this time and his money.
Hey, D, do you concur?
Yeah, everything he said was straight up on point. Because when Myles is talking and I'm listening, and I can see myself in all these angles, especially when he's talking about like Sonic Minds. That's basically what MS is for him, my personal outlet. And I was actually supposed to start another label too for other people, but the time and trying to find someone to do the artwork, mastering, and then you got to rely on those people too, because they don't always be on time. You be waiting for the art guy, like, man, it's been 3 weeks, like I need to get going, or the mastering dude, okay, and a couple of times with that, and then it's a little bit more than I wanted to pay for one track, so then you have to make sacrifices and think about it. But it's a lot that goes into this to keep these things going. Not just the making part is fun, but at the end of the day, sometimes techno's all fun and all, but then at the end of the day, sometimes there's no money. And then that's when you question yourself, do I keep this thing going, or I can't stop it because it needs to go. So that's my love for it.
It's your baby, right?
Yeah, it's the baby. But then it's like, everybody questions that, has those moments where, do I keep this going, or maybe I should just, like you said, go get a job somewhere, and it's a regular job or something, some hospital or some tech company or something.
But this is also a long-term commitment, or?
It's a long. Yeah, you're in for it.
Right? Okay.
It stops and starts, because like over the years, I probably had like 5 labels. No joke.
Yeah, but I mean the start and stop. But that's what I meant by it's a long-term commitment.
A long-term commitment.
You know what I'm saying? What do you tell someone starting a label today? What kind of advice would you tell them?
Be prepared for the ups and downs. Don't think you're going to make money. If you go into, basically, I go into each release knowing that I'm not going to make money. If it happens, it happens. But if you can say, you know what, I know look at it as almost like promotion. Each record you do a release is promotion for yourself or whoever, your label or whoever else you're doing it for. Is that, will that promotion hopefully get you in a place where you can recoup from that? Possibly. DJ gigs, live performances, whatever. It could lead to other things. But if you prepare to just say, I'm just doing this because I'm doing it for the love, and I'm doing it to express myself and get my creativity out, or friends' creativity out, so the world can see it, great. But just count on you. You're not making money. You're losing money.
I hear Donnell's birds.
Yeah, she's happy.
You got your bird when you move.
My wife came home, and she's happy when I'm here. It's like, oh, whatever. He just give me some food. But my wife,
they also have birds feeding to help them get through the pain.
Yeah. Then they start. Everybody comes alive. The cats come alive. The bird comes alive. When she comes home, they're happy. So I get it. Yeah. But to go back to what Myles was saying, to that question, I think people should start with the why, asking the why. Why am I doing this? Because when you ask yourself why and use the critical thinking part, you'll get to the reason. I know my reason was simply because I didn't want someone controlling me and telling me what I could release and not. And also other people were refusing the demos, or telling me to change. I almost got on Utensils. That was the same thing Terrence Dixon was on back in the days. And I almost jumped on Dan Curtin's label at first, but Dan took it upon himself to say, hey, man, I think you should start your own label and I'll distribute it. And from then it was, I'm glad he did that, actually, because I would have just put it on those labels and them, then I might start trying to conform to be on those labels, where Sonic Mind was sort of like, I like what Suge Knight said back in the days, where I wasn't listening to nobody or taking advice from these dudes. They were already done. They had their time.
I just had to do what I had to do. And with Sonic Mind, it was sort of like, yeah, I made a lot of mistakes, but I made a lot of great choices too that worked in my favor. But at the end, it was great.
I mean, you've been going so long, so that's kind of cool. You guys, we're gonna move it along because I know my boy Myles had to. How much time we got, Myles?
You keep on saying that, don't you?
Yeah, I know. I keep reminding myself. You know, the reason why I'm saying that is because we're doing so well, and I'm so happy to hear you guys be so thorough with your answers because people need to understand this, and your advice is very valuable.
Do a part two.
Yeah, we'll do that. But I think we're almost there. I just want to keep it rolling here. Let's talk about vinyl versus digital. Running an independent label today, vinyl and digital. How did you decide which artist? No, how do you decide which artist or release makes the vinyl versus digital?
I can answer that one real quick. So, Carter City, like I said, it's basically more so other artists. So right now, 2 people on my roster right now are good friends of mine. My boy Mike Ned. He goes under Nuntius Noctis or something. I can never get this right. And then my boy Joshua Tree. So they're fairly new into the game. And the way I think about this is like they need to get releases out. They need to get exposure, and people need to know who they are. So usually for me, what I usually do before I did it for both of them, I both had them do remixes for me or different projects I might have had on either of my labels. Josh was acting along with yourself when I did that big compilation, the digital compilation. You guys were both on there. I think that was Josh's, probably one of his first tracks that I know of that actually came out. So for me, I'm trying to build a presence in for them in this space. So the more releases they do, the more exposure they get. People they start to look for them. So case in point, Mike's first release came out digitally about in April, maybe April or late April, early May. And right now we just dropped, I took one of the singles from his release and I had him remix. So that's his second, besides the first remix he did for me, like his third outing actually being, exposed out to people in the world as an artist. So the more and more I build them up, the more releases he does, people get to use his name. And then I create like he gets buzz, and maybe he starts to get a following based on all the things he do. But maybe like case in point, in the next couple of releases, like I want to do one more with Josh. He does the next release we do with him is going to be a part 2 from his first release with us. Now this one, like, he's doing other stuff outside with other labels besides me, but maybe the next release will be digital. And I'm actually I'm doing one with Hakeem too, where we're going to do a tape release, a limited cassette tape thing. So it's like you got to build it up to be able to get to that point. Now, other artists, like I know, like if I had Donnell on a label, or other artists like Lee Holman. Lee's an established artist. He has records out, you know what I'm saying? So if he does something for me, it's probably going to be both vinyl and digital, you know what I mean? So it's about that. And the whole thing with vinyl too, it's more of an investment. So you're putting more money into making this. So on average, let's say 200 copies might cost you about $2,000 to $3,000 to do for 200 copies.
How many? 200.
For 200 copies, and that's the pressing and all the things, mastering, artwork, and all this that just to get that going. You know what I mean? And luckily for me, I got a partnership with Matter of Fact. They do my pressing and distribution, so I have a P&D deal with them. But then that goes back to another part of that. It's like, well, at the end of the day, it's really up to them. You know what I mean? Because they're funding most of the others on that part, and it's all about a money thing. Is the music great enough? They think they can recoup their money. So you
Wow.
know, it's a money thing. Like everything, digital is easy. But even now, like when we had our show last week with EPM, like I know for a fact that they don't take everybody. You know what I mean? You have,
Why is it? Because they're just too.
well, I think it gets saturated for a while.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So like right now, like as Jonas said in the interview, like you can't just go to Beatport and get your music on Beatport. You actually got to go through somebody. You got to go through. It used to be an aggregator, but now you got to go through a distributor. You know what I mean? So if they're not willing to pick up your music, I mean, you can put it out yourself and do downloads yourself, and you got Beatport. But to get it out there in those stores, you have to go through a distributor. And at times, if the music they don't think is great enough, you're not getting it.
Okay.
Right.
So it's all a money thing. It boils down to money. And if you have the money to fund your own thing and do your own distribution, which I tried, you can do it, but it's hard. It's hard to do it, And then that goes back to what I said earlier, the time to do it. You know what I mean? So
Exactly. Do you concur with that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly what Myles was saying. 100%.
Okay. All right, cool. Then we can move on to let's talk about walk us through really quickly the process of finishing a track to press. What's the biggest challenge in that? Is it the cost? Just give me an answer. Is it the cost, the time, or is it the distribution?
And
Donnell, any one of you?
all three.
All three to you, Donnell, as well?
Yeah, cost, time, the music. You guys, the music got to be on point, but yeah, the cost is you go one plant and they tell you this, you go to another one, and the time not only being the time you put in, but the time they tell you that they're going to have it ready.
Okay.
Because you might have your stuff ready, but it's going to be a couple months before this. And okay, I was planning on having it then or that time because I got a string of releases I want to put out. So it's a lot of variables, man.
Okay.
If you got to wait 2 months or something, you might decide not to do it or whatever.
Mm-hmm. All right. We talked a lot about the expensive part of it, right? And I'm glad you guys are being very informative and honest about the process. The reality of making a living, not everyone gets paid the same for the work. Not every DJ or producer gets the same opportunities. What's made the biggest difference in your career? What's made the biggest difference in your career, Myles?
Relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Having good relationships with people. There's a lot of things that make the difference. This person or didn't, I got help. I'll say this: if you got a good relationship, people aren't afraid to help.
Mm-hmm.
Use it.
Mm-hmm.
Use the help, especially if you got it, and or ask for help. A lot of people got so much pride they don't ask. And if you ask for help, you'll be surprised who will help you. So I think that's made the difference for me. I've never been afraid to ask for help, or especially about things I didn't know about. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And D, what about you? What makes a difference in your career? Was it with also relationships or what?
Relationships heavily, because I had to always be in good with a distributor, because without good distribution, nobody was going to hear the stuff. And I always position myself well with having good distribution. And I would say those distribution companies that I was with, they made a huge difference. And early on, some of those periodicals, those magazines like Jockey Slut, Big Spag, a lot of them helped way back when, because I was not paying for any kind of promotion back then or even trying to find someone or a publicist or anything like that. I just was simply putting out the music, giving it to the distributor, and distributors make sure it got to the right people. But I had some awesome distributors: Dan Curtin, Dan Bell, Seven City, Record Time, Prime Distribution, Primate, London, then Integral, Mark Broom for a season, and then what's the one in Spain? I did something with them for a while. The main one is, not Spain, I'm sorry, France. Did something with Secrephone or whatever it is. But having these key distributors help. And now, like, as far as digital EPM, because they get it in the hands of everyone. So that's what made the big difference, was it, having good distribution.
Was there a moment you knew that this could pay the bills, or a moment where it could not?
Yeah, for me, I'm not trying to be fully in it, like as Myles said. Like, I have a lot of other things going on outside of it that I prefer to partake in, and have this still be a part of my life. But it's just mindset, because if I set my mind back on the track, I could live off of this, and be comfortable. But that's just not the way I'm trying to, I don't want to be the guy that's traveling around the world every weekend. I would be the guy that plays 1 weekend a month and not too far away, 2 gigs 1 weekend a month. That would be more for me. And I would be the guy that can put out a release, let's say once every 2 or 3 months, and it does well. Not every month there's something, new coming, because then I just feel like I'm just a track factory. So this is why I'm very comfortable where things are, because even now when I put something out, it does well. It sells. I make money, especially on Bandcamp. Every other time I look up every day, there's some sales. Sometimes it might only be €10 for the day, but sometimes there's more. And when I did the merchandise, that was very lucrative.
And that's due to putting in the work, and and building those relationships as well, right?
Yeah, you got to build relationships, but that I'm saying from the start is your mindset, and basically as you're sitting down in that chair and starting the process of even making the music, sitting there with yourself, just you and whatever gear you got there. That's where it starts, because at the end of the day, that's what's bringing everything. That's the vehicle. It's the music.
Okay.
So it's starting there, your love for it, but because of that vehicle, you're able to have great friendships. I mean, look at all of us. Because of that music, we have great friendships. I've known both of you forever, for a very long time. But it's because of the music, because I had not been partaking in the music. We might have met on a different thing, but I think the music was the thing that brought us together.
He said it. He said it. There it is. He said it. Okay, good. He said it. I mean, I know you, and I know the hardline part of you, but I also know you love the music. That's such a great beginning and a great catalyst to grow on, and it's more than just the music. Now, another question: if you wanted to stay into the business for the long haul, how important is it that you're willing to adapt?
Well, that's life. You have to. Things aren't supposed to change, stay the same. You need to adapt. With music, you can't be stuck in back in the day we was going to the record store and everybody was. No, maybe now you have to make new connections online. So, hey guys, I'll tell you what, how about 10 of us meet once a month online, and we're gonna go through Beatport together, like a Zoom call, but like check out music together and have a coffee at home like we're at the record store. That's one way of adapting. Or social media, for example. You have to adapt with this.
Okay. And you think so too, Myles?
Yeah, you have to. I think that's just life in general. You can't change all the time. So, learn to pivot, adapt, and make other moves to keep going. So it's either if you want to stick with this stuff, you got two choices: either you're going to adapt or you're going to stop.
Okay.
So
let's talk about the financial balance. How do you balance all the money? You just kind of prioritize what's most important for you, I guess.
Well, right now I got to balance this because I got to actually go. So I got to get out here and go to work. But that's it. It's just balancing stuff. You have to prioritize things that you have to do. financially, you know, my job comes first. So that's number one. So everything else falls along that line. You know, my job, I have to work. That allows me to do things I need to do, like have a house and different things like that to do my day-to-day stuff. And then everything else falls the line. So
Tell us about MS Lives before you go, and we'll shut it down.
Cool. The next MS Live is coming this Sunday with DJ Scent. Check it out. We basically did it. I wanted to do a podcast. I did it. Donnell was like, yo, let me get down. So we did it. And it goes from there. So it's basically, y'all check us out. You know what I mean? We interviewed artists, friends and artists, people we want to get to know better, more so on a personal level than actual like music wise. But music is a part of that. So it comes, it comes in a nice package. But I think with our interviews, you get to know more of the person. So that's what we got going.
Okay. With that said, thank you everybody for tuning in to the Decisive Podcast. And guys, thank you so much for the insight. Myles, I'm sorry I had to rush you out of here, but
Me too, bro.
we just have to do another episode, which a part 2, which is okay. And I think that you guys said a lot that I really appreciate it, and thank you so much. And everybody, make sure you check out MS Live on Sunday as well. We have a double hitter, I guess. I'll be joining them in their show as well. And at what is it? What time is your show?
2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 8 p.m. Central European Time. Is that correct? CET? Yeah.
Yes, it is. And CET for Decisive Podcast Series episode. This particular episode, we will be actually live just before them. And Donnell, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And you guys, it's been real.
All right, y'all. Have a good day. Take care of yourself. Be safe. Peace.
Yeah, I just wanted to step in here to remind you that don't forget to make sure you support the Decisive Podcast Series. It really helps us a lot to bring you great content and great honest conversations, as you have yet to see with Myles and Donnell Knox. Next month, on the 15th, shall I say, I have Stephen Puri. We will be talking about AI. We will be talking about the creative processes in AI. What does that mean? What does that look like for creatives? With that said, make sure you like, subscribe, and make sure that you share and hit that bell, and make sure that whatever it is you would like to maybe know, or you have any questions you would like to see, you'd like us to present, I would really appreciate it if you would send me an email at roberto@decisiveseries.de. Go to our channels, that's YouTube, and if you want to hear the audio without any video, that's okay, because some people have their own preferences on how they want to enjoy their podcasts. We are at Podomatic, Apple Music, SoundCloud, and Spotify. So with that said, enjoy your week, enjoy your day, wherever that is, and thank you for supporting the Decisive Podcast Series.